podium on, my mic on. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Schneider.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Stokes is not here. Councilmember Todd is not here. Councilmember Saper.
Present.
All right, next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, which this evening will be led by Councilmember Schneider. I can't break it here. I'm probably going to say it 4 more times, slightly incorrectly, sorry. It is not intentional, I promise. I'm just an idiot. Next item is the approval of the agenda, and just so everyone knows, I am going to end up removing 12, 13, and 14, which is basically my liaison appointments, just because there's nothing attached to them on here. So I'll do that very quickly as just regular items. Any other removals, any changes? All right, is there a motion to approve the, I guess we'll call it.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Comments from the public? Anyone from the public wishing to speak this evening, please step up to the podium. And you are on. Good evening.
Hello there. My name is Jay. I am the founder of a Facebook group called KC Sport Bike Society, also known as Sport Bike Society. We had the intention of having an event in your city at a private road, at a private business on a privately owned land. We have permission from the owners. It is also a private event. I was contacted today by NKCPD, a Major Jim Bagley. I'm not sure if he's present or whatever that is. He said to reach out to the city because I need a permit. So I reached out to the city, specifically Megan Summers. Spoke to her. She said I needed a special event / short-term use permit to have this event. And the main issue that we're having with that is, one, we don't believe the permit applies to us based on your city code and regulations, and two, we applied for it and were immediately denied because we did not apply for it within the 21-day, whatever that is. But we initially did not apply for that because based on what I read from that permit, from your website and your city code, it was for a public event on public land. And if it was to be used for a short time, if it takes the public land away from the public. That's what your website says on that particular permit. We are not doing any of that, and we are in an industrial area. So that's essentially my issue. I have a bunch of other key points, and I'm not sure how this really works, and if you want to rebuttal to that or not. Let me just double check my notes.
Normally,
here.
I just say there's usually not debate during this period. This is
Yeah,
public
yeah.
comments. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you kind of get it all out there to us, and then I think at the end of the meeting, since this wasn't on our agenda, staff will bring it up as well, and then we'll have a
Cool. Yeah, and
discussion
I
at
was
the
made
end.
aware.
Sorry about yeah.
Yeah, I was made aware you wouldn't make a decision today, and that's fine. However, the event is 4 days from now. The event has been posted for about 5 months. And I filled out your application. I've already emailed a copy of that. We've done it back and forth. Yep, that exact. So I see you guys are more prepared than I thought you would be, which is cool, which means you understand the importance of this situation because we didn't have a lot of people here that could make it to show their support, but we very easily could have had 70 to 150 people here to show their support, but I didn't believe that was necessary. We don't want to intimidate you. We don't want to fight with you. We don't want to argue. We don't want to cause any issues because that is not what we're about, and that's not what the event is about. I've been having this event for 5 years all over the city in Independence, Riverside, Shawnee, the West Bottoms, everywhere. This is the first issue I've ever encountered of this magnitude to be approached by the police department and the city and have so much pushback on what we got going on here. My group has about, I say group lightly, the Facebook page has 5,500 members. They're all aware of the situation. We're all frustrated. We would like to know how this was even brought to your attention, because we usually don't have any issues because we never have any problems. So we kind of just fly underneath the radar, have our thing for 3 hours. By the way, it's a 3-hour event on Saturday in an industrial private location. And basically, I don't know if this was opportunistic or what, but I've received text messages from a random individual that says, you can thank me for getting this shut down, which insinuates that he has some kind of pull through you guys, if it's even real. Could be somebody opportunistic looking to take whatever. But the problem is, we're all very upset about this. Thousands of people have made an attempt to be at this event. Not saying that's how many people will be there. Currently at the event, we have 372 people selected going. And we all are very, sincere about this and enthusiastic about it. We are, poor Megan's probably had 150 calls today about this. And the same with David Harris. He's been emailing me back and forth and talking to other city planners and city managers who are obviously can't do anything, but they're a part of the group and they're interested in being a part of this. It's a free event, free to participate, and all I do is give stuff away for free to help the community. Tires, chain cleaning stuff like that. All it is to get a bunch of people in one place, I say a bunch of people lightly, and a bunch of small businesses throughout the entire city come and support and just try to make money and advertise and grow and support. Like I said, this has been a 5-year thing. We've been doing it all over the city. And I mean, I could just reiterate that there's nothing negative about this, and I feel like somebody put that on the table, and that's not what it is.
Appreciate you coming out this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Further public comments? Good evening.
Hi there, I'm Sheila Bruns from 2100 Fayette. I'm delighted to be here. I love the process. How to start? I have 4 minutes and 50 seconds, so here we go. Single-family dwellings are important to me. I think they're important to the city, the master plan. But after the school purchased 2 houses and a church, now I know it's legal, but in this, they all approached the school, boy, red flags went off. Because we're thinking, okay, is the single-family dwelling, is that important to you? So then I went to your master plan, which is lengthy and impressive, I have to say. And I didn't find that language in there. You guys can point me to the page, but I did find intent of that language. It said increase home ownership, assist lower income and moderate income renters to make transition to home. So I'm thinking that's in alignment with you want to promote that. So that's great. I'm all on board with that. Then skimming through the master plan, you know, you guys have a lot of apartments, and it didn't dawn on me what was going on until I read through that. To my understanding, your goal is through apartments, duplexes, whatever, is to double the population to fund your master plan, because it's impressive, it's incredible, it's going to be tax-based, and I don't know what. I don't have all that. I did find some humor in it with what happens if this large company leaves and such. But I'm digressing. I'm an educator, so I digress a lot, so let me stay focused. I would like you guys to look at your zoning for specifically Gentry and Fayette. And I won't go into specifics because I know 2 of you are members already, and then a 3rd councilman will be on, and she's a member of the planning and zoning as well, but I think that will switch due to your rules and regs. But can you look at that to protect the home? So instead of, it says, increase and assist for the single-family dwellings, can you protect and maintain what we have now? Because I know it's exciting with all these plans that you have, new apartments, that's great, but protect the neighborhoods that we have currently. I know some of them are run down, but a parking lot, worst case scenario, probably not 5 years, maybe 10 years, we go out here and we see a nice black slab of concrete where Gentry and Fayette used to be. Now, I know that's over the top and a bit dramatic, But hey, I never would have expected bike lanes on Armour either. So I want to make sure that you understand that we need you to protect what is there and support and just maintain. I don't want to get lost in the excitement of the master plan, basically. And one last thing about the master plan, I know in the action plan that it is a live document because it states that you will, with your planning, what did it say, to modify or change the codes and zones to meet the goals set forth. That's a total butchering. It's not word for word. I just realized that. But I just ask that you relook at that. And I don't want to be living next to a parking lot. I support the school. I get that. But the school's presentation was about, we need 1,700 parking spots. And yeah, we can survive day to day on what we have, but we need more parking spots. I don't know, that didn't cut it with me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Further public comments? Good evening.
Hi. Jennifer Martino, 2024 Fayette. I just want to embellish a little bit on what Sheila said. The state of Missouri requires 1,044 hours of instructional school every year. That's approximately 12% of the total number of hours in a year. That means that for almost 90% of the year, we in the neighborhood right around 23rd Fayette are going to be staring at a vast expanse of empty concrete. And I ask you to just think about, even though this is technically allowed under the zoning, is this really what was intended as something to replace residential property in a residential neighborhood? I think you have to maybe use whatever tactics you have available to you to stop this from happening. It's just not right to tear down housing if you're not going to replace it with more housing in an area like this that is so small and has such a dearth of housing anyway. So that's all.
Thank you. Further public comments, please.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Snodgrass. I live at 2115 Fayette, and I am trying to expand a little bit on what the other ladies have mentioned. I live directly to the south of the proposed parking lot structure, and I obviously have concerns, one of which being my private property. If you look at the other parking lots that the school have made, they're all abutting public property. This parking lot here is abutting an alleyway for the right-of-way and a major street. This parking lot is going to pave right outside my dining room window. Furthermore, I attended the proposal that the school put out. I heard out what they had to say. I had some pretty valid concerns. There has been no traffic study done. We have no idea how that will change the nature of traffic going down Fayette, which is already kind of complicated. It changes one way, this way, that way at different intersections. We will now have an onslaught of traffic going this way down our one-way street. That's got my children will no longer be allowed to play out front for fear of being hit by cars that are entering and exiting right next to my front door. Furthermore, it appears that the school has not, in my opinion, meaningfully studied any alternatives. It seems as though this opportunity presented itself and it was pounced upon, and while I can appreciate why that might be, I do think as a citizen of the city, I implore the city council to help us as property owners to, 1, maintain my property value, 2, keep my family safe, and 3, encourage an appropriate use of a neighborhood. I just don't think a parking lot that's only used during business hours, that only provides 52 spaces, and the school is saying there's a windfall of over 300 spaces that they have to fill. So it seems to put a dent in the problem at best and upset and deter a lot of property value. Furthermore, on my research, I noticed on our bylaws, our zoning framework, Chapter 17.20 says that the R1B district should be retained for the purposes of protecting existing residential neighborhoods, but with more of a focus around those areas within the traditional neighborhood character area of the master plan. I just feel like this is, under subsection A, point 1 is that the accessory use, which is my understanding of why the school is being allowed to develop this property that way, is that the development should be compatible with the general character of the area and comparable to the uses of other property in the vicinity. And I'm not sure how a parking lot in the middle of a residential street fits that criteria. I don't think that a parking lot is compatible with the general character of the area. So it doesn't solve the school's problems. It creates a drain on the property values of homeowners in the area, and it provides a dangerous situation. And I implore you as my city council to help me protect the value. I know that that sale was above board and that there's not a lot that we can do as neighbors, but there is something that you can do as our city council to protect us, and I implore you to do so.
Thank you. Further public comments? Seeing none, seeing one. There you go. Good evening.
Following on the internet, I heard most everybody's comments. I will agree. I guess to further what Chelsea is saying, I noticed that other cities have something called a compatibility and comparability matrix, which is essentially just something that has a set standard for what can fit in certain places. As Chelsea is saying, I do not understand necessarily how a parking lot would be compatible or comparable to the street that we already live on. Beyond that, I think in the meeting with the district I mentioned, we've had issues as a city with the messes around these construction areas. In the past, when I think it was like 18th was being developed, we talked about construction mitigation plans, something that is also a set standard by the city that ensures that we don't have the issues that we've had at like 23rd and Swift or at 18th and Swift. What guarantee do we have from the city about our street? Like, I know we talked about having a parking study, or sorry, not the parking study. I do want to know when that parking study is going to become publicly available. But beyond that, a traffic study on Fayette. We have a highly, like all of our children are out playing all the time on Fayette. How much is this going to change the traffic pattern of our street? How much is it going to change our children's ability to go out and play? So again, is it comparable with the rest of our street? Beyond that, I know we met with the district. They sort of mentioned that part of this is making sure that some of the issues that we've had as a city with parking are dealt with. My understanding from that meeting is that this wouldn't really help with daytime parking, which is when the majority of the complaints happen, because this is specifically a parking for teachers and staff. They are pushing it very heavily as sort of this is how we are solving this problem so we can help the city and we can help the district. What other options have they looked into? As a city, what other options have we looked into as far as partnering with them? We have space at Mackin Park that could potentially be utilized for school parking during daytime hours. We have space at the church. I know previously the school had an agreement with the Methodist Church. Sounds like, I don't think Sam Scarfino is here, but Sam said that that was a conversation that the church was interested in having again. Mostly, I just want to make sure that we are making sure every option, every stone has been overturned. I understand, similar, they bought the property legally, but as a city, we need to make sure that we are checking, that we are essentially making sure that it is up to par. I know there were some zoning questions, which a few people here have answered lovely over, you've been so responsive over email, but still some of those zoning questions are left unanswered. So I am really hoping as we move into that stage and it moves on to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I know Jesse is a member of, I just want to make sure that you guys are taking this as seriously as all of us who live on Fayette are. That's all. You guys have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jess Loya, 2112 Fayette Street.
All right. Further comments?
I had planned to talk earlier already, sorry. Valerie Swearingen, 2408 Fayette. I was going to not say anything because there were so many comments already, but I also like to give you my input. I wanted to say thank you to the mayor officially for item number 29. I don't know if that's in response to my emergency request preparation thing with the acting chief, but I think it's a great step in getting this community to a place where we're ready for all types of emergency situations, whether it's tornado drills today at the high school or active shooter trainings or whatever. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for doing that, if it's related at all. And then I do live on Fayette, so I will just add to what's already been said. I think a compromise could be if the school district doesn't need the parking lot today or next year, could they leave it just grass for a couple years? You know, to give the community some time to kind of get used to having this big empty space and, you know, getting the kids out of the street playing, which isn't the safest, but onto like some private or some just green space would be a nice opportunity. And that's also the parks person in me talking about green space in the city. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Further comments? If you have someone different in your group, since you've already, you got a large group, I figured it wouldn't be hard to.
They can't reiterate what I'm trying to say. It's more here as a show of support, because I didn't, like I said, I wanted it to be kind of one voice.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Well,
Be aggressive.
yeah, okay, thank you. We'll address it all at the end of the meeting there. Going once, going twice, no more public comments. There we go. A little bit different agenda tonight. Obviously, the next two items will be considered by the current seated council. And then once the election results are approved, and then we will welcome our new council member and continue on the agenda. So I'll let you read the item.
Item number 6, approval of special council meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 7.
Number 7, declaring the results of the city's general election for city council members held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 2nd, 2024. Bill number 7841, ordinance number 9638.
First reading?
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
An ordinance declaring the results of the city general election held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 2nd, 2024.
I move that bill number 7841 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9638.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes,
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
An ordinance declaring the results of the city's general election held in the city of North Kansas City, Missouri on April 2nd, 2024.
All right, and right before you move on to the next one, I'll go ahead and speak on Lisa real quick. You know, I'll say going into this 4 years, 4 years ago, you know, I know you really set out to make the North Kansas City community a better place, and I believe you've done a lot of things and taken a lot of steps to accomplish that. You know, proud to have you as a friend before you ran, and you know, excited to continue as friends after we left. You know, it's sometimes have differences, but we've always been able to do it cordially and stay friendly and work through tough issues. And thank you for all you've done for the North Kansas City community. So appreciate it. Thank you. And I have a proclamation for you as well. I guess that is now the appropriate time to go ahead and do that. Okay. Were you doing a photo? Or just, you want to do it after? Okay, we'll do it. Okay. All right, so the proclamation just briefly, again, recognizes your 4 years of service to the North Kansas City community. And there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Katie's pinching me.
Oh, they're gonna do it too. Here we go, we got it approved. So with that, the next one will be the oath. So we'll ask Lindsay McGrow to come up and Crystal. And Anthony Saber and Case Stokes. And then I'll count it's all of them.
It's, yeah, the renewal.
Then we'll take a new family photo. That looks like a seal. I don't know. I didn't see that. Okay, with that, I guess I'll use this mic if this one's still on, so everyone at home can hear. So everyone at home, we're going to take a short break here, kind of as we switch everyone out and have a very brief reception. We'll be back in, I should have thought about this beforehand, 5 to 10 minutes. There we go. We'll throw a range on it. We'll be back on. doing, but we're gonna do it here.
All right, just, yeah, bump it up. I'll run my mouth if I have to.
Yeah, I'll do it. Hold on, let me get my numbers in order, though. You're welcome. 33 staff comments. Take it in part out of order, okay. All right, we are back. And with that, we are going to do some reshuffling of the agenda really quick. So if there's no opposition from council, then I will move number 33, staff comments, up to be the next item. No opposition? All right, with that, Mike, please.
All right, I'll go ahead and start out with a portion of the public comment. I think the main purpose of this, as Mr. R6 mentioned earlier, they did apply for a short-term conditional use permit. We have the application. It's not complete. It was just today. All of this has occurred today. From us finding out and working through this. I think it's from talking with Director Wood. It is something that we would work through. In the normal time frame, we would have worked through it, brought that to you. And in this case, the event is this Saturday. Spoke with Director Wood. Anything to add on this issue as far as we were talking with Mr. R6 about the event to get some more information about it?
Yeah, I would say this is something we could work out, that I don't want to promise for all the departments over here. We generally are the coordinator over here upon this process, and the process requires 21 days for a reason. The reason is that internally, we can get police, fire, and the liquor control all take a look at it. As far as I learned from this applicant, that there will be no liquor being served on the site by whatever means, and there will be port potty, there will be tents. So there will require a set of eyes from our fire department and police department, besides our building code and public works department as well. So I will work with the applicant, I would say, upon the application to submit required information here for us to review. So I would kindly ask you to just place a condition over here that if they obtain approval from all city staff over here, then they shall be granted to have the event over on Saturday.
All right, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. So first off, thank you for coming out and talking to us about this. I can hear the passion about this event. I know it's very exciting. I can hear the frustration with the process, the confusion, and thanks to everybody who came out. It's not, coming to these public meetings can be like watching paint dry. Not typically a great way to spend your Tuesday evening. So thank you for coming out and showing us that you really do care about this event. A couple things. Every city does it differently. You mentioned you've done Kansas City, you've done Independence, you've been around the block, and this one kind of caught you off guard, and I understand why. You articulated that very well. As Director Wood said, there is a process, but in this case, I do understand why we are where we are. And so I asked if we could get this bumped up to the top of the meeting so you didn't have to spend the rest of your night here. And so I would be happy to grant conditional approval pending staff review, that everything else pans out, that we can get the inspections done correctly, and permission from the actual property owner for the event, that everything clears all those barriers. But as far as city council is concerned, and at least for me, I understand that I think we can do that. One other thing I would note is you mentioned a bunch of calls to City Hall. You named some employees that you talked to. I would encourage you, if you run into a similar situation in the future, some of those things can be felt, they can feel intimidating, right? Come with a big group, that's fine. It shows support. But when you start bringing out specific people's names and if you're going to put their phone numbers out there, I know you have 5,500 people in a Facebook group, that can really become a personal problem for those employees, and they're really just doing their job. So I would ask you to tread lightly on that kind of stuff, but we understand the frustration, and that's why we're here to make an exception on this one. So I would move for a conditional approval.
Staff's to approve it, right? So I guess our motion would be to recommend approval upon conditions. I guess
Condition
recommend.
upon staff.
Yeah.
Staff approval.
Yeah, our approvals, yes, I guess conditional upon
So-
staff approval.
so a conditional
similar to
approval?
what you said. I think everyone gets it. Right?
Second.
We get the direction, right? Okay. Then we'll roll with that.
That was a
And there's a
second.
second. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. And again, but no, you are welcome to stay as well. We're not kicking you out, but no, thank you all for coming out this evening. Next, so now I'm going to suspend rules yet again, unless council has opposition. Move back to where we were in the agenda, and we'll finish remaining staff comments later. Thank you. Now we are on item number, I don't know. 9. Arbor Day proclamation, real straightforward. We are a member of Tree City USA, and as such, we recognize Arbor Day every year, and that is coming up on April 26th. So April 26th officially recognizes Arbor Day in North Kansas City. I'll give them just 1 second to get out here. Well, they're very orderly and quiet. We have a whole agenda. Thank you. Now to item number 10. Item number 10. We'll say that. Oh, she's easy. Item number 10 is the North Kansas City Fire Chief selection. Which how's that worded on here? Fire Chief selection process, number 10. With that, I sent out a memo, or I had a memo attached to this. It's pretty straightforward. Did council have any questions on the process? I really didn't have much to add to the memo. If not, I guess we'll just take. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to add and let you all know that Casey and I have already started working on posting, or the language and everything that'll go out and putting the packet together.
Okay, so I guess I would, now that you spurred me a little bit there, I believe we're considering a national search at this time, right? Is what she's looking at doing?
We got a quote from a national search company.
Well,
just to see. Oh, but us.
But I mean,
doing
we're
national-
posting
yes,
broadly.
yes,
I'm sorry.
yes,
Yeah, the
sorry.
posting will be broadly, but we're not considering using any sort of firm to do that right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We both talked. We feel confident that we can do this. Just so the council knows, a quote that we received back, just a ballpark, but it was about $30,000. But again, we feel confident that we can hit the same areas. The International Fire Chiefs Association, all those spots that get it out national.
Perfect. So yeah, that kind of takes care of process. Step 1 that is listed out on here. Then I guess we can further regroup after. Do you know how many weeks you intend to leave that open for now?
I would say at least 2 or 3.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
at least. I can get that from Casey
Perfect. Yeah, so no action really needed until next meeting.
once we start. Yeah.
Yeah, we can start figuring that out. So perfect. Really don't think I need a motion here. Councilmember Smith.
I have 2 on that memo, council involvement, city council being involved actively. Are we looking at a committee of the city council, or are we looking at having all 8 of us plus the mayor involved in every interview?
I initially had that. Then I decided to go ahead and, we could do it on Tuesdays at our meetings. It depends on how many. I don't think you're going to have 10 finalist interviews probably, but I'd assume you'd narrow down to. The first step would be narrow down, right, applications, and then consider interviewing X number that council wants to interview. So we can either do that in the whole or do that as a committee. I don't care either way.
How are you picturing, so we get in, say, 20 applications, how will we be narrowing those down? Would that be a
I'd assume the
council-
first step, Casey would generally do that for everybody. You'd still have access to every application, but you generally should filter down because even like liquor control director, I think we got 110 applications and something like 97 of them weren't remotely qualified for that position. So I'd assume you see a very similar position. We'd kind of look at those remaining applications and then I think choose who you'd want to conduct finalist interviews with. Would seem to be kind of a standard process.
I'd like to see more of a committee structure on this rather than the entire council. That could be a lot.
Whatever the council wants to do on that. Councilmember Saper.
Yeah, I'd like to put off exactly how we're going to handle it until we see how many applications we really get. If there are 100 applications and 90 of them are good, we might have to go through some kind of council committee to actually deal with that volume. If we end up with half a dozen, it changes.
I mean, I do think it could be productive to have all of us on the same page, kind of doing the same
And then we
thing.
could do the same thing
And seeing-
together, if there's 5, 6, 7 of them, or 3. So I think we should wait to see how many make the initial and partial cut before we decide how to do it.
Councilmember Clark.
3 weeks isn't very long, 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, if
I figured, I kind of considered that an asterisk. I figured, yeah, you'd probably get with Casey and get an actual, sorry, I put him on the
Yeah.
spot there.
to have the time to say committee or no committee and looking
Yeah.
through all the, I'm just saying,
Oh, even on that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as when you post it and things like that, I'm
Yeah.
trying to listen through all that to say, yes, I think there should be a committee if it fits better that, yeah, there's few applications and the whole council can engage, but I don't know. I think it wouldn't hurt to establish a committee just in case and then kind of open the doors once we know how many applicants, but I guess I'm making it muddier as we keep talking through it.
Probably a
but-
little bit, yeah, because you're going to receive the applications in. Like I said, generally Casey, you'd all have access to them. Generally Casey will filter them down to what's inappropriate,
Okay.
qualified folks. But you have some, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to either way, doing that at a council meeting in 4 weeks and reviewing all those and having the whole council.
Okay, so like
Look
an
at 'em.
end of May.
I'm not a calendar here.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, that'd
that's
be
our-
right.
that would be
Yeah,
our-
yeah, we're the second
Yeah.
meeting, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The next meeting's 3 weeks from tonight.
5 weeks
We're not
from
going to get it
Yeah.
we're not going to get it posted,
Okay.
tomorrow. So it'll easily be after that meeting before it closes.
Okay.
So we can always further kind of deliberate exactly how many, or if not everybody, you want to be on that as well. We're good for now.
Fine.
We'll move on. All right. With that, we'll move on to the Councilmember Stokes, as pointed to by Councilmember Clark.
I'm just curious if is it just the council members that are on the committee, if we choose either way,
No,
that do the selection, or is it, if we did a committee, would staff also
it
be
would be
part?
staff as well. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry,
That's
just, thank you.
I read the memo and I felt both. Yeah, I read the memo. I wrote the memo as well. Yeah, and Crystal asked me the same thing. Council will participate in the process, which I envision to be an addition to, not a subtraction of. Yeah. Good question. Thank you. I got the same question after I did this. With that, then we'll move on to number 11. Correct. Number 11, Northland Assistance Center Cold Weather Emergency Housing Program. Do we have an intro into this item by anybody, or are we just going to?
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, as you can see, Ms. Pierce is here with Northland. Sorry, can you all hear that?
Yeah, you seem.
Is
quiet
it? There we go.
There.
I just wasn't close enough. Ms. Pierce is here with the Northland Assistance Center. With the last reporting, she has asked if it'd be possible to retain the money, the funds that remain from the second, or from the amended MOU. As I put in the memo, just a quick recap, in November was the original memorandum of understanding for $30,000. Was, I think, in December, early January, when you were
Yes,
close to depleting those funds.
right, we
so
came back in
so-
the beginning of January.
So the second, the amended MOU was in January for $20,000. The first one was $30,000. That one did require a budget amendment. We originally did $40,000 in the budget. The council graciously went to $20,000 in January, but it did require an amendment. So by our calculations, the remaining funds are $10,811.17. As I did put in my memo, with all due respect, I would recommend the money be turned in if it's a consideration in the future, maybe for a future contract. But especially because it was an amended budget, from our standpoint, it'd be nice to have that money back to use it towards other intended purposes.
Thank you. Now I'll have Rita speak, and then council will do
Yeah, and I'll
after
answer
that.
any questions, and appreciate your comments, and I respect your opinion on this. Last year, with the remaining monies, we were able to do yet another MOU, and we were able to keep those monies and use them for emergency lodging without specifications. I did a little research. Last year, we spent about $2,500 from April through the end of December for emergency lodging that was not cold weather related. The referrals came to us from hospitals, from social workers, from emergency providers, and churches and others in the community, schools. They all come to us when they need somebody to be housed. And it's for a number of different reasons. We are a very, very small agency. I will say that without continued funding, we will not be able to answer the calls of people who need these funds. I did write a grant to the North Kansas City Hospital, and they declined my grant. I asked for monies for emergency lodging in general. So there's two things. It's not without precedent. It was done last year. And my goal is to be able to kind of fill the gap until the cold weather comes again, and then still have those monies when cold weather comes, which can come anytime, September, October, November, in the MOU, the third amended MOU, on the 31st of December. And then with the aim in mind that for future funding, we can kind of start it off at the first of the year and then kind of go from there. It's up to the council to decide what to do. Just keep in mind there will be no funding for people who refer people to me without these monies being left in the account. And in addition to that, I would like it to read emergency lodging without specification for this third MOU, so we have an opportunity to look at a new form and whatnot further down the line as we get to cold weather lodging, because frankly, the current MOU and cold weather lodging was really inefficient. 25 degrees is 25 degrees. That does not take into account wind chill factor. There were many nights that the wind chill factor was well below 25 degrees, but my hands were tied with a 25-degree restriction, and it also was a little bit redundant, but that's something to look at later. I'm here to ask the council to let those funds remain in our account and to allow a third MOU be written that allows for emergency lodging so that we can take care of these people that are in this gap that we no longer have funding for. There are not very many grants available for Northland agencies, and particularly for things that are not pretty. We're not education, we're not kids, we're not a lot of things that people are happy to throw money at, but we are a place where everybody has come for a number of years for safety and for help. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, just simple as that. I'm just asking you to let us retain the money and do it under MOU of emergency lodging. We can always visit that later in the fall or when it gets cold if you want to tighten that up, but I respectfully request that you all consider my proposal.
Thank you. Council questions. Councilmember Stokes, was that a?
I don't have a question.
Oh, you look.
Comment.
Oh,
Jesse can go first. He always says what I'm
Councilmember Fitzgerald. We'll go.
Either way.
Go ahead, man.
But, okay, yeah, I think I would generally be in favor of setting up a new MOU to extend out some of the emergency lodging services. You know, I think once we get back to the cold weather this fall and winter, we'd want to tighten that back up where we don't have a scenario where we're running out of funding halfway through the winter like we did this year. You know, but for the time being, while it's warmer, it sounds like there is a need for housing in certain situations, and this is a way to help benefit our community. One thing I maybe would like to see if we did extend this MOU, maybe get some metrics on the sources of referrals and the uses of these to help us, kind of track and identify as a city where there may be a need for an additional resource where the assistance center is filling in currently.
That could be easily done. We could come up with a form. We have this form now under this current MOU. It doesn't have a referral piece, but I can easily work with Crystal to put that together. Obviously, we would redact everything. Obviously, we would send the folios as we have. Obviously, anyone on the council can come by and look at the folios because I keep a second file and also see any of the information I've entered into MAC. There's no way to enter into MAC because of privacy issues that we send someone for domestic violence or we send them because they're sick and out of the hospital, they have nowhere to go. But I think we could do it in a way that that respects the privacy of the people that we help, but can also give you those metrics. Frankly, I'd be curious myself. So I'm all in favor of that.
Yeah, I would like to see
Yeah,
that. If
I would
there's
like
a
to
way
see
we
that
can do
myself.
it, I think it would, shed some light on areas
Sure.
where we're not getting a ton of data right now.
Sure.
Now you look like you're ready. Councilmember Stokes.
I do think the more data we have, the better, and I do think that is helpful. I am a little bit, I am not in favor of returning the funds mostly, or I want them to be returned because the intent of this program was to help people to stay alive when the cold weather came. It wasn't, I would love to fund all of these other wonderful and good and great causes to help many people in our community, but that was not the intent of this program. And for that reason, I am not in favor of having another MOU.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
So the way the memo reads, it would be to keep the $10,811 in the coffers for the following winter, but that's not what you proposed just now. So the memo says, Rita Pierce with NAC will be at the meeting to ask the city council to waive returning the unused funds and allow them to be retained by the NAC for use for the same purpose the following winter. So that's what I came in expecting. And, it was budgeted this way for this winter. Kind of like along the lines of what Katie was talking about, I think it would be a worthwhile discussion to have. But in this case, since these are specifically budgeted, I think these should come back to the city, and then we'd have a future discussion to say, these are the needs, these are what we're looking to address, and we'd be very specific, and then put that kind of language into an MOU. So I'd open to the discussion, but the $10,800 here was specifically for cold weather. Now, I love that you are advocating for people, and this is your job as an executive director of a nonprofit to get the money, and so I understand all the asks. In this case, I think we should go, the route that we had kind of preordained for these funds. I do have a follow-up question, because I don't have the original MOU available. The way the structure looks, so the first one, $30,000, funds expended, administrative fee 5%. The second one, $20,000, funds expended. The admin fee is still 5% of the total amount put in, not the total amount expended. Is that how the MOUs are written, where it's based on the amount sent versus the amount used? I'm curious because I don't have that handy. Because whether it's 5% of $20,000 for the admin fee or 5% of $8,188.83.
So, from my memory, I don't think we've ever had funds returned.
Right.
So I think if their monies were returned, we would have to calculate what 5% of the return.
The percent of the fee?
Correct.
Okay. That was just my curiosity. So it says funds to be returned here, but that would actually be plus 500 and some odd dollars. Yeah, I would go with putting the money back in and then having a future discussion about what we're looking to do.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Alvarez.
Do you have money still left in the fund for the other situations that come up right now? So if something was to happen, say this week, next week, you wouldn't be able to help?
I would do my darndest, but.
As far as the funding?
I don't have a specific funding for it.
Okay.
Okay? It would have to come out of general agency funding. And we're very small, 1.5 of us there. As Amy and Katie found out, and I digress, but I wanted to thank you guys for coming. They actually showed up after I invited council the last time, and they even brought food. So I was unable to make a council meeting before this. I have family situation in Florida. But I wanted to publicly thank you guys for showing up, bringing food, brought the baby. They were even stocking food. And I encourage other council members to come by and see what we actually do when you're making decisions in regard to our agency. They saw how chaotic it was that particular day.
Councilmember Alvarez. Yep, keep going.
So if you return the money, then you have nothing left in the fund until a new one, until December 31st? Is that?
No, this money needs to be returned at the end of April, according to this MOU. Okay. And this money cannot be spent on anything unless it's 25 degrees by the National Weather Service, and other agencies have been contacted on all the other very restrictive things that came in that second MOU. So if we regardless of what we do, we need to revisit that if we decide to do cold weather, because it was just not sustainable for people who live outside. I know.
Further council member comments? Councilmember Clark.
I also appreciate what you do. It was great going there and seeing all the food that you collect. I think, I just want to say personally, I absolutely respect and appreciate what you do. I'm also in favor of bringing the money back, because I think just overall, everything has to be revisited, even from surrounding shelters and our connectivity with those shelters, and how they're dispersed, like what that channel looks like, and again, the data, to know who you're having to turn away, not their names, but just kind of who is referring and how many times that's happening, so that we have that, and maybe could look into state funding of some sort, or whatever needs to happen eventually down the line. I mean, we have to have the data to back it up, because I just feel like this could just continue to build upon an initial idea that was developed out of completely emergency use in the winter so people don't die.
Right.
And so I absolutely respect and appreciate what you do, but I would be in favor of returning the remaining amount to city budget at this time.
All right, further council comments? Seeing none, I mean, it sounds like most people were on, that spoke at least, I guess, on the camp having the money returned, but also opening to revisiting a new MOU. Correct, is that, at least having the discussion? At least got a nod for having the discussion. There we go.
May I ask a
Yes.
question? In revisiting the MOU, are you referring to, because I'm a little confused, doing a new MOU under cold weather, like in the fall, and then relooking at what that would look at, like, or I'm not sure what
I mean,
you
I guess
by
I'd
that.
ask council for some direction. In my head, when I said that, what I had envisioned is sometime in a coming meeting, either in 2 or 4 weeks, potentially opening up the conversation with council to say, do we want to have a new MOU that's not specific to winter? That's kind of broader, I'll just say has broader coverage than what we have now. Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, to kind of expand on that, if there's a specific ask, if we can tie some data to who is, like Amy said, who's being turned away, what are the real, specific needs? Because otherwise, it's kind of, and we trust you, but this is public dollars, right?
I understand that.
That's kind of the rub. And so if you have a presentation you could put together, and then we could discuss it and, direct staff to bring forth an MOU, or not, we'll talk about it. But that would be where I'm at. And then, of course, come cold weather, we revisit the cold weather situation. We can tweak some language and tracking and all that if need be at that time.
I think that's a great idea. So you're talking an MOU about emergency lodging in specifics, and then an MOU to be looked at in the fall. And I would prefer, if we do that in the fall, that we end that at the end of December, so that if we continue that cold weather program, it's kind of an annual thing. That's just a budgetary thing for me, and that would make my life easy. But in regard to keeping statistics, that's not really a problem. The problem is going to be, you're still going to have to trust me. Because what's going to happen is, and I know it's going to happen on Monday because I already have someone calling me, an individual is being released from a hospital and has nowhere to go until they can get their relatives in for a week. I can't share this information specifically with you. So, and you don't have no way of knowing, and I'm really glad you trust me, and I had hundreds of thousands of COVID dollars that I handled responsibly. But when you ask for specifics, this was the problem with the latest MOU. It was so specific that it was not user-friendly, and we turned people, when it was, wind chill was 0, because it wasn't specifically national weather forecast 25 degrees. So when you get super specific like that, it makes it a little bit difficult, because I understand accountability, but we're talking about people who I can't give out their information. I mean, I can't give you the kind of accountability that I think that you're asking for. I can tell you, like these individual, the family I'm going to turn away, that I'm turning them away because I have no money and I cannot put them in a hotel for a week till their family gets here. Now, you have to take my word on that, and I don't know how I can make that in a way that I can put it on paper and you can review the statistics and things on it. That's just not how an agency runs. I mean, we can't share, we can't divulge all that information. I can say, yes, a social worker sent me someone, I couldn't help them. Yes, a hospital sent me someone, I couldn't help them. Yes, someone walked into the police department, the police called me at 2 o'clock in the morning, domestic violence, I couldn't help them. But not all of these referrals come in specific like that. And these people who refer them may or may not be real comfortable sharing that information too. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not as easy as it sounds on paper. And I'm not at all against giving you the information you want. I'm completely transparent. I just, when we talk about this, or when you guys consider it, if you consider emergency lodging piece, you have to be real careful how you want that done specifically. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And perhaps I'm overly optimistic, but I do think if we have time to discuss that more
I think so,
in 2
too.
weeks, we might be able to flesh out some of the details and get a lot closer for something
And
that
I'd be
maybe
happy to
mutually works out
answer.
for all of us.
You guys could call me at my office. I have a question. How can we look at this, Rita? I mean, I will be happy to be part of that conversation. I think I should be part of that conversation. That was the problem that happened with this last MOU. Wasn't part of the conversation, and it was a catastrophe when we had 0-degree wind chill and I had to turn people out to sleep in the street. So I don't want to get that specific anymore. It's just, I mean, it's up to the council. I'm just saying that it doesn't make any sense if you get that specific. I turned away several people when it was 0 degrees wind chill because the last MOU was so specific.
Yeah, so to be continued, I'll say, I do believe unless someone's opposed, and we're going to open that back up, to have the money returned, because I would say it's a contractual issue. And I know we've done it before, but I think at this point, we're
That's
going to
fine.
say, we have that contract, we'll have that returned, and then we'll further discuss one, possibly 2 new MOUs in the coming weeks.
Okay.
See, he's got it down, so that way I'll remember it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I really appreciate that the city has taken, I've said it before and I want to say it again just because I have the platform. On behalf of all the people that you've helped, most of whom you will never meet, that you might even see on the street, they're very, very, very grateful. You guys at this city, I'm very, very proud to be a citizen here and have my agency here and be able to say wonderful things about what you guys do. And congratulations to all the new, and not new, although newly elected city council members.
Well, appreciate you coming out tonight.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Thank you. Next up's the consent agenda, which will not have number 12, 13, and 14 as previously discussed.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. All right, and then I'm going to take it out of order even further. I'm going to move 12, 13, 14 underneath 27. And I'll probably take them in the inverse order as well. But let's go to number 26, selection of Mayor Pro Tem. Crystal, you got all this? Am I really going to throw you off here? You got to watch the replay later on this one, for sure. Okay, so we are going to skip to number 20. Well, not skip to, that'd be the next item. Item number 26, selection of Mayor Pro Tem. So generally, this process, I'm going to open up to the floor, collect names, we'll vote on the name, and if it gets more complex, then we'll figure out another process from there. But is there any nominations or recommendations for Mayor Pro Tem? Councilmember Smith.
I would nominate Councilmember Fitzgerald.
And I would ask Councilmember Fitzgerald if he accepts that nomination.
I would.
He does.
I would
with
second that.
Is there any further nominations for Mayor Pro Tem? Seeing none, we'll close out and just do a yes/no vote on Councilmember Fitzgerald. So all those in favor of Councilmember Fitzgerald as Mayor Pro Tem, please say
Yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Item number 27, selection of council member to serve on the Planning Commission. Is the same process. Is there a nomination for Planning Commission member? And it looks like we have one. Councilmember Stokes.
I nominate Councilmember Smith to continue on the Planning and Commission.
Do you accept this nomination?
Yeah, we got some things in the pipeline that probably need to be seen through.
Are there further nominations? Seeing none, we'll do the same up-down vote here on Councilmember Smith. All those in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Congratulations. Welcome back to the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Now we will take my items here. Number 12. No. Yeah, damn it. We'll just start there. Number 12, Library Board Liaison. And this one is an open-ended question because I'm going to ask council, who would like to be the Library Board Liaison?
I would like to be the library board liaison.
I would love for you to be the library board liaison.
Then there we go. So with that, I will appoint Councilmember McGrone to be the City Council liaison to the Library Board. Is there any other nominations? If none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Now we'll go to item 13, which is the appointment of the City Council liaison to the Park Board, which I'm going to nominate Amy Clark for that. Well, no, you guys don't get further nominations because it's my appointment.
Oh.
Now I'm throwing off the whole
I-
process. So yeah, now
Accept.
it's just a yes, no.
I'm open to it. Yes? What do you
You
need
can't
from
change
me?
on me now.
I'm not changing. What's the right answer? I'm in.
You're in. She's in. All right, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. One more of these, and we'll get back to some regular business. City Council Liaison to the Equity Inclusion Committee, which is item number 14. I'm going to nominate or appoint Anthony Saber to that role, in which I have discussed this with him already, so hopefully he is still good with it. There we go. Thank you. All those in favor of Councilmember Saber, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. So that takes care of 12, 13, 14. Moved a bunch of items, skipping everything around. Now we're back to item number 28. And now I need to, hold on, readjust all my stuff here. I know, I should have just had all these tabs open already. I mean, I know what direction I'm going here real fast, but. There we go. This is, did I say the item out loud, Crystal? Did I satisfy that?
Well, you just said 28.
Item number 28, appointment of interim fire chief. With that, I'm going to recommend the appointment of Dan Williams to serve as the interim fire chief. I'll read you a brief from the thing here. Dan began his career at the North Kansas City Fire Department in 1993 as a firefighter. Over the last 31 years, Dan has held the ranks and titles of firefighter, driver, EMT, captain, battalion chief, and fire marshal. He has filled in as acting fire chief on many occasions, has proven to be a team-oriented leader and collaborator. And as such, I recommend Dan Williams be appointed as interim fire chief until the next fire chief is appointed, and propose his pay be set according to the minimum range for fire chief equal to 138,153.60. And I would add, yes, fully support this. Very valued member of our fire department over there, and would appreciate your support on this appointment.
So moved.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Congratulations, interim fire chief. With that, we have item number 29, which I need to open again. Sorry, this is a mess. Okay, now I'm sorry to take credit away from myself, but I must do it. To Valerie's point earlier, it's this unrelated topic, so I want to make sure that that is clear. Yeah, this is I want to say statutory, no, but it's a municipal code thing that we need to appoint an emergency management director, which I believe we had one previously, and now with the change, need to fill that role here. So I want to make sure I'm not taking credit. I'm not owed on that one, but thank you. So was that? I would now recommend the appointment of the emergency management director to be Dan Williams.
So moved.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Again, congratulations. Double congratulations here. With that, we'll move to item number, and we have a question. Councilmember Smith.
Question on that one. I know we just voted, but is there anything that we need to do as a group to be ready for specific, like tabletop exercise? I know we talked about this at some point around emergency situations, but now that we have a new interim director to get everyone up to speed, is there anything we could put on an agenda in the future to kind of play that out?
Yeah. Last time I had that too.
As a
collection
discussion
of
item
notes,
or
so that
something.
way, yes. Good. We can add that, and we can all kind of further discuss what that looks like, so we don't just come in and.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. We'll make sure it's on target with what you're trying to get.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Now we move on to item number 30, which I will have Crystal read.
An ordinance directing the issuance of a notice of termination and demand to North Kansas City Destination Developers LLC. Bill
Okay,
number-
now I'm struggling to
Bill
keep up
number
here.
7843, ordinance number 9640.
I got so excited with my change of the normal here that I'm throwing me off. So what I'm also going to do is now I'm going to move up item number 36. So we're going to start this essentially for everyone listening at home. We're going to start this item with an executive session because we have a couple things we need to discuss related to this matter. Yeah, so there we go. I'm going to move item 36 up to right now and ask if council will move to consider an executive session.
Moved.
Second.
Well, we got to read the, I guess, okay, number 36, consideration request to hold in recess into an executive session as requested by the, I guess now mayor, well, it doesn't matter, city councilor, because it's still the same thing. Let me try this again. Consideration request to hold in recess in an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on the state on a potential litigation matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute 610-0211. There we go.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, for everyone watching at home, we will temporarily not be here, but we will be coming back and we will have further public business to discuss. We will come back and continue on with item number 30, and I promise continue straightforward from there. We will be back. All right. We do kind of a gavel there, I guess. All right. I am back. All right, we are back. And item number 30, I have it written down here several times. We are on item number 30, which Crystal has already read the initial here.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Yeah, now see, that you got to do.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the issuance of a notice of termination and demand to North Kansas City Destination Developers, LLC, pursuant to the amended and restated Master Development Agreement dated August 17th, 2022, between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and North Kansas City Destination Developers, LLC.
I move that Bill number 7843 be placed on second and final reading and pass this ordinance number 9640.
Second.
Very aggressive second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark. Yes. Councilmember Stokes.
Yes.
Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the issuance of a notice of termination and demand to North Kansas City Destination Developers, LLC, pursuant to the amended and restated Master Development Agreement dated August 17th, 2022, between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, and North Kansas City Destination Developers, LLC.
We make sure his heavily emphasized seconds in the minutes.
Yes.
Very heavily. Item 31, please.
Municipal Prisoner Housing Agreement with Clinton County, Bill number 7842, ordinance number 9639.
Go Mike to Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Chief.
This is an agenda item very similar to what we already have in place with Clay County. It's just simply an agreement for Clinton County to house our municipal prisoners when Clay County cannot. A little bit further out there for us, but we felt like with some of the things going on right now with Clay County, some of their construction concerns that they had before, we didn't have another outlet, so we started looking into what could be another alternative to that. Clinton County Sheriff is open to it, and this is very similar MOU to what we have with Clay County right now, so happy to answer any questions.
All right. Well, due to the capacity, I guess, restrictions that have happened at various times at Clay County. So I guess what does that mean for someone we'd normally take to jail, possibly? What was happening with them?
They were released on their own recognizance.
Okay. Thank you. Answered my question there. Further discussion? Councilmember Saper.
How far is that facility from here?
Plattsburgh is the county seat for Clinton County. That's where the jail is. So it's about 40, 45 minutes, probably up the road, depending on traffic.
Councilmember Alvarez.
So do you still use Clay County, and this would be secondary or a backup?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Clay County will still be our primary.
Okay.
Are they through with construction now?
I believe so.
Okay, so they're kind of at capacity for the moment.
That-
Or not
that-
capacity.
The mode of construction that they were doing before is complete. Whether or not they're going to have any future or new,
Correct.
we don't know yet.
Perfect. Further, Councilmember Clark.
That's the question I was going to ask, is the construction, where they at on that timeline? Just, if everybody didn't know, when they went into construction, everybody was just sort of released, and it was great. First reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
An ordinance adopting and approving an agreement for confinement of prisoners between Clinton County, Missouri, and the City of North Kansas City, Missouri, for the housing of city prisoners in the Clinton County Jail.
I move that Bill number 7842 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9639.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes. Councilmember Saper.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone.
Yes.
An ordinance adopting and approving an agreement for confinement of prisoners between Clinton County, Missouri and the city of North Kansas City, Missouri for the housing of city prisoners in the Clinton County Jail.
Number 32.
Sorry. Approving accounts due and payable by the city through April 12th, 2024, bill number 7844, ordinance number 9641.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through April 12th, 2024.
I move that Bill number 7844 be placed on second and final reading and pass as ordinance number 9641.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark? Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through April 12th, 2024.
All right, we will go back to the continued number 33. Staff comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to give you kind of a brief update on where we are with the River Forest Park project. As you'll recall, we did have a joint meeting with the Parks Board and had Lance from SWT as well as Will join us and kind of give us a situation update of where we are. They had mentioned the fact that we were having some workaround of trying to get the no-rise. I don't know if you remember, but because of the River Forest project is in part of a floodplain, one of the things is we cannot create a rise, meaning that we cannot make the storm waters go up. They have tried. In fact, they brought in a specialist to come in, and we still could not achieve the no-rise. So one of the things that the committee is talking about is moving the playscape from the lower basin inside of the floodplain to the upper terrace. So we do not have drawings of that. There is no change. We're going to have all the same playscape equipment. It's actually going to be closer to the restrooms. It is not behind any resident homes. But that is one of the things that they simply cannot engineer that to a no-rise situation. There is also some concerns of the levee area. We have been talking with the levee district quite a bit about this particular project. As you are well aware, there has been some tree clearing north of North Kansas City, over 100 acres at this point. So there is some concerns about the levee and the water runoff through that. That levee is, even though it's on the other side of the highway, it's one levee, right? So it's all in one area. So we do not have new drawings of what that move in the playground equipment will be just yet. We're hoping to have that soon. But I did want to brief the council that that is something that, again, we're just unable to get that playground down in that floodplain with all the grading needed to make sure it's a level playing ground into a no-rise situation. The playground equipment is ordered. In fact, it will be here next month. So there is some thoughts. The grant, that is a reimbursement grant, construction must be completed by 2026. So there is kind of a bit of a timing element on this. But again, SWT has hired several different engineers. We've been working with the city's floodplain manager, who happens to be Mr. Anthony Sands here. And we have been talking with the levee district extensively about making sure that this project does not create a rise in that area of stormwater.
Councilmember Smith.
So I'm not a water flood engineer by any means. How does building a playground contribute to rising floodwaters?
So there's a couple of things that go into this for the design. So you have the floodway and the floodplain in this area. And River Forest Park's kind of unique because it's constrained between Highway I-35 and Vernon. So you have two culverts, one on each side, kind of boxes it in, and then the other adjacent wall is the levee. So when you're building, and this was something we outlaid in the very beginning, is knowing that we'd probably get into the floodplain, we said, hey, part of the condition of this is a no rise. And as Kim said, they've been working, going through different calculations, trying to move earth around in different ways. When you get into the creek with the bridge, there's a bridge down there with a trail that was starting to create a rise. You also have what's called compensatory storage, which is if you start to fill in an area, you have to move that earth displaces the water. That water's got to go somewhere. Again, you're up against the levee, so you don't have a lot of volume and storage areas to work with. So then you have to basically maneuver things around until you can basically show in the water model that you're not creating any sort of rise in the floodplain. It's very specific in FEMA's rules and regulations that you don't even create very minor rise. They had messed around with it as much as they could to try to even get down to very minor amounts. We actually had an audit with FEMA during this process, which was kind of uniquely timed, where we got the opportunity to ask FEMA and SEMA, which is the State Emergency Management Agency, what's your thoughts on this? And they said, no rise means no rise, I think was exactly the gentleman's wording, so it was very clear. So that kind of sends us back to looking at that.
We had even looked into amending the floodplain plan, and we were told that could be upwards from 18 to 24-month process.
Oh, fun.
Because we'd have to go through several different governing and regulatory bodies. So again, it's some of those things we're trying to balance, making this project work, as well as making sure we are doing no harm.
Thanks.
So I did want to give a brief, we are hoping to have those, kind of what our thoughts are, is to have those renderings back, do some public engagement so that everybody kind of understands the why and the what of what this project will now look like. And again, in the why, we have spent over 2.5 years trying to make these calculations work, trying to get it down into that area. Councilmember Clark has been at almost all of the meetings. So it is not for a lack of heroic efforts, it's just a lack of the math working at this point, at least with the engineering capacity we have at this point in our technical skills of making it work, as well as understanding that the playground is going to be here next month. The equipment will be, because we had to order that, if the council recalls, 8 months ago.
Councilmember Saper.
This is not criticism, but I would like to know, at what point did we think we might have this problem emerging?
So it was something that actually was brought up in the very first meeting. I'm not sure if you recall, but the very first joint Parks and City Council meeting, it was discussed that this is in the middle of a floodplain.
Yeah.
When we began the feasibility study, it's woven throughout the entire feasibility study that this is in a floodplain. And this is going to be hard, is pretty much, I'm giving you the cliffhanger, the Cliff Notes version about the fact that this is a massive consideration, and there are some engineering things that you can do, may not work, is I believe kind of, I'm trying to quickly recap the feasibility plan as well as the first several integers of the design elements. Like I said, SWT brought in a specialist to try to solve this math problem. Another thing that has happened in the last probably 3 or 4 months, though, is that land clearing, which we are beginning to see outcomes. The levee district is watching that. Again, you do not clear over 100 acres of wooded area north of the river and us not experience issues. So that is something that our floodplain administrator is watching with a very careful eye. And again, this decision is not made easily, lightly, or with any joy associated with it. It was one of those things that quite literally, after having 6 or 7 engineers tell you that the only way to get it to a position for consideration by SEMA and FEMA is to do a floodplain amendment, and that's going to take 18 to 24 months.
The other thing I'd add to that is when you're talking about amending the floodplain, you're talking about accepting the fact that there is a rise associated with your project. So again, this being directly adjacent to the levee, that water has to go somewhere.
Thank you.
I think I got it on. I don't know if this works. Mayor and council, I'd like to thank all of you for the opportunity to serve as your fire chief or interim fire chief. So I appreciate it. If you need anything from me, let me know.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, you good? You're good? We done? All right. Going. Tonight, we are starting with, yes, switch it up on here. Councilmember Smith. Councilmember comments.
Oh, boy. I got a whole bunch of notes here, so bear with me. First off, thanks to Kristen Purpoline, I think I said that right, for jumping on a new board. I wanted to note that going through her application, I really appreciate the resume that was attached. It's nice to have detail to, learn a little bit about the person that we're approving. So thank you for that. Second piece, the use tax and marijuana tax. We've mentioned it a few times. I would love to see on the next agenda some discussion items on getting that done. I know we've got, at least for the marijuana tax, we've got immediate go-by language that have been on ballots that we could throw together pretty quick, I'd guess. But I want to see those on if we can get them on the very next ballot would be amazing. At least if that's the way the council wants to go, but moving that process along. Thank you for the nomination to the Planning Commission again. Question for the mayor, I guess, is we still have the 2 open seats. Do we have nominations coming for those?
We're closer. Yeah.
Do we need more
It's just a process.
applications?
Not
I mean, we can drum those up.
No. I mean, I'm always accepting applications. I'll never say no to more applications. I love more applications. But I think there's enough. I can work through that process.
Which camera's on me right here? Apply, please.
Yeah, always apply. All the
Jump
boards.
on. Let's
All of
go.
them. Never stop.
We need you
Even
to
if the
help.
boards are full, keep applying. It's good to have them on file.
Perfect. Now, a couple process things. The short-term conditional use permit process was put on full display here tonight. Couple questions. 21 days, I understand we need some things to get lined up. But if the messaging, if somebody is, they've got an event planned, they didn't realize, and I know ignorance of the law isn't, an excuse, but this one felt like, it's on private land. It was kind of one of those where I could understand how they missed the boat. It sounds like the message they got was, go ahead and send in the application, and it was immediately denied. And I think that might have been why we saw such frustration. If we're going to tell them to apply, at least give them some expectations, what's going to happen. I'm also curious if this could be a staff approval, if that's something that council would be open to considering, or even why is it something that comes to council? Because I don't think have we ever denied a short-term conditional use permit for an event of any kind?
I would have to go back and review. I'll say I don't recall.
In my 6 or so years, I can't remember, most of them go on the consent agenda. So if staff, if it's, trying to get ahead of the next council meeting, which can be tricky with timing, if we could get it to staff level, maybe compress the timeline so when it's ready to go, it gets approved, rather than having to wait. If that's something we need to discuss, or...
That'd be another ordinance change if I recall correctly.
Okay.
So that'd be an ordinance.
Something to discuss. And in that process, taking a look at all the stuff that we require approvals on, maybe comparing to other cities and seeing if our rules are more onerous than some of the other ones, why we have those rules, and can we roll them back? I know taking rules away is not normal, but I think it warrants a discussion sometimes. Second process piece is we've had a lot of discussions, we had a lot of public comments tonight about the church, houses, and school district process. I am a member of the Planning Commission as well, and I asked a similar question, but I'd like to know what is next for that process, and for the public's knowledge, what is next for that process?
As of today, I don't believe we have received an application yet.
Okay.
So we can not say what is the next till we get the application and fully understand what are they proposing. As far as I could say, the school district hosted a neighborhood meeting. Like I said before, they don't have to per our code, but they kindly did it. So this way they can get the first comments from the neighboring property owners and the tenants. So as of now, I haven't heard anything from the school district. So we'll just see if the school district is still wish to pursue this proposal. If so, what does it look like?
And when they submit the application, it will go to the Planning Commission.
Correct.
To discuss. Will it then be a recommendation from that body to come to the City Council, or will it be a decision by the Planning Commission?
So this is a site plan approval process per what they have discussed. Again, if the proposal doesn't change, lines with what they have discussed about, it will be a planning commission site plan approval process, which is usually the second step from what the administrative site plan process is. Most of the time, the elected officials don't even see a site plan because most of the site plans go through the administrative approval process. And this one will go to planning commission. So staff will be will make recommendation to the planning commission, and planning commission will be the final decision maker on this particular process. Now, say.
Let me ask that, what would be the difference between other ones then? Why would this one go to planning commission and other ones generally would not?
There is a set of criteria in the code.
Okay.
Which site plan goes to planning commission first considering. And this one particular is because it's a non-residential use in the residential area. The school district is not, the functionality of a campus itself is not a residential use particularly.
Okay.
So that hits that particular requirements. That's why it goes to the planning commission.
Okay.
Like I said, a staff make a recommendation to the planning commission, and planning commission will make a final decision. Say, if the planning commission denies the application, then the applicant has the rights to appeal it. Then the appeal will go to city council.
Okay. And I am not a zoning expert by any means, but a lot of the genesis of the questions that I'm getting are the code doesn't seem to be completely black and white on this issue, this specific issue that parking as an accessory use is permitted in R1B, but it seems that there may be some gray area, and I believe that's where your expertise comes in for staff recommendation and approval. But on something that's this big a deal, ordinance dictates that it goes to the planning commission and doesn't rise to the level of city council. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because that's what the code say, and we follow the process that is codified in there.
Okay, thank you for that. That at least that lays out the understanding. Along these lines, I would like to have a discussion item come up about maybe an update to zoning. Wouldn't matter for this project because this is something that was in existence when they purchased the land. But the potential of discussing moving any parking from the residential zones. It, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense to have allowances for parking, and this would be why we would discuss it, because right now it doesn't make sense. But talk about removing the allowance for any surface parking in residential zones. And then a further discussion, if we're going to talk parking, about parking minimums. From what I understand coming out of the school's presentation is that they're short roughly 300 spaces, and this would add 52. It seems like we're kind of out of sync with our parking minimums.
So per our code, they're not short. Because our code for the parking ratio requirement is based off the number of students enrollment. There are different mechanisms you can look at it. If you're looking at the minimum parking requirement, you'll be looking at their student enrollments over there. They have roughly 1,700 student enrollment, if my memory is correct.
There's like 18 and some change. Yeah.
It's that they have a little bit of falling back over there, but that's what they anticipate. Let's say 1,800. And usually there is a ratio over there. I believe it's like a 1-to-5 over here per enrollment. So for their daily operation, there is no foreshort for parking requirements, just so you know. This is what the school district made the statement in the presentation. This is what I kind of made the statement as well per their parking study. Their daily operation functionality of school, we don't see a large need for parking requirement. What really the parking needs come is for those events time. And we have to understand that, there is no perfect code. And in this scenario, you have an urbanized high school in the middle of a neighborhood that hosts a lot of events that pulls the regional traffic into this area. I mean, that is the difficult topic over here. Ideally, as a planner, I would love to see a structured parking, but we know it's $40,000 to $50,000 per space.
Yep.
So I believe the school district is trying hard to figure out a solution for everybody. And again, it's too early for me to say much of what this product really is because I haven't seen it yet. I would say wait till if there really is an application moving forward. And I believe, promised the people over there that we will try our best to let the neighborhood know once we have received the application. We'll probably put it on social media. I'll work with Kim Nakahoto on the Wiki review, so this way the neighborhood gets the say at the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. The other piece I saw was for events, the number of seats in the auditorium laid out some parking minimums. So as a broader topic, to discuss parking minimums, why we have them, what their benefit is, and if there's any way to pare them back or remove parts of those entirely, I'd love to have that as a council discussion. The last thing I mentioned at the previous meeting that I would set up a gun safety awareness meeting. I did not do that in the past 2 weeks. I will be doing that sometime in the coming 3 weeks before the next council meeting. So please stay tuned for that. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Councilperson Smith, by asking all those questions about the parking. I hear the concerns, had many of the same questions, so getting some additional info on that does help. I unfortunately was not able to make the meeting with the school district, but I'll be keeping a close eye out for if and when we do get, I guess, that plan submitted and, learn what the steps are from there. One item, this, I guess, would take support from more than just me, but something I was thinking might be good to have at an upcoming meeting would be an update on the strategic plan. We have new council members seated, and I know we'll be starting up the new budget process for the next fiscal year soon. So, be it reprioritizing some of those items on there, but getting, good solid updates on where stuff is and, if we need to add or remove too, but, just kind of, almost getting our ducks in a row with the, mostly the same group, but one new member, and congrats, and before getting to the next budget process. So again, I know that would take more than just me, but I'd be in favor of seeing that.
Thank you. We have a chock full agenda here. Councilmember Alvarez.
Just want to start off by saying congratulations to Council Magroni for her appointment. Welcome aboard. Also, I want to mention that shout out to Public Works. When I got home today around 4, found a big tree limb in my front yard. They were already out there picking them up, so clearing things out, and hey, it was great because I was trying to figure out how I was going to haul it out. And they were right there. So again, shout out to them. They do a great job. I do have just one short comment on the gentleman that spoke regarding the private event with the sports bike event. I do understand that maybe he didn't quite understand that he needed to get the permit first, but however, I do think that they are expecting, from the information that he gave, it could be a rather large crowd. So I do think that even though maybe they missed the mark, I still think that they should be required to follow the rules that are set forth by submitting the application and having it approved. And my personal feeling, I don't think we should really change or make exceptions. I feel like that's something that, even though they do it in other cities, our city is different. So I still think that they need to follow the codes that are set forth. Other than that, I think that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark.
Thanks for tackling the update, Kim, for River Forest Park. I think I've missed half or one meeting total over this 2.5-year stint. It was a tough message, obviously, but in the end, I think we're being good stewards of the land, and the hope is that we will also avoid additional costs because everything's becoming a little more condensed. Thank you again to Lisa Schneider for the time served and the value she added to council, and welcome, Lindsay McGrone, Councilmember McGrone. I got to offer, let's see. Oh, yes. I'm going to mess that one up. So I want to give a shout out to a local resident and athlete, Jude Tull, for breaking the 1-mile track record for Northgate Middle of 5 minutes and 2 seconds. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a fun thing to witness. I will never run that fast, so good job. In the same weekend of the community cleanup citywide shred event, I would like to propose an HOA bridge and surrounding area cleanup that Sunday, April 28th at 10 a.m. for anyone who wants to come out. I plan on hitting up Public Works for some bags and making that happen, but that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilmember Stokes.
Thank you for everyone that's been on the River Forest Planning Committee. It sounds like it's been a nightmare. I appreciate your time. Welcome, Councilmember McGrone. Welcome, Chief, Interim Chief. And Have a great day.
Beautiful. Councilmember Saper.
In trying to suss out Councilmember Smith's comments, it sounded like you were saying that you'd want the staff to do more and not have to come to the council in terms of approving those requests. And if that were the case now, the city staff would be required to just deny it and they'd have no recourse.
No appeal process. I would hold off on debate until we have this topic. But yes, that is, I would say generally what I heard is.
So, I mean, that is an issue you'd have to deal with.
So, I mean, just quickly, not to debate or anything, no, I would say in the normal course of business, if staff gets to a point where they could approve, it wouldn't need to come to us, but if there was a special need for that, bring it to us for approval.
All right.
That-
There we go. We can have this.
Talk about this more later.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anything else? No, that's like there's a no. Councilmember Graham, please.
I just wanted to thank everybody who came out and gave public comments, and I want to thank Lisa Schneider for her service as a council person for Ward 2 and for North Kansas City in general. I am looking forward to serving on the council and the library board, and I second Jesse's comments about the marijuana tax. I'd love to get that on the ballot as quickly as possible. And I'd like to thank everybody here for being so welcoming, and I'm excited to work with all of you.
Perfect. So a lot of things have been said, which always makes it easy on me. Just congratulations to the newly elected Lindsay and all the re-electeds and all the appointments and liaisons. And I think we have a pretty good group up here and excited to continue to work with all of you. So that'll be my comments. So then I will skip number 36. I didn't forget, skip number 36. We've already leveraged that one. Now we're on 37, I believe. Consideration of, you look like you wanted to say it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, consideration and request to hold in recess an executive session as requested by the city councilor to be held on this date on a potential litigation matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute 610-0211.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith?
Yep.
Councilmember Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone?
Yes.
Number 38, consideration and request to hold in recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to I ran out of breath. Now I can't talk. Missouri Revised Statute 610-0212.
So moved.
If anyone understood where I was
Second.
going there. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Stokes?
Yes.
Councilmember Saper?
Those are coming off.
Yes.
Councilmember McGrone?
Yes.
All right, with that, for everyone watching at home on YouTube or Channel 2, the live feed will cut off. There'll be no further public business or votes taken this evening. Thank you.